The rain fell in soft sheets over Portland, Oregon, the kind of drizzle that clung to Lila Everett's jacket as she unlocked the door to *Pages Pine*, her bookstore nestled in the Pearl District. At 38, Lila was a fixture in the neighborhood, her dark hair streaked with premature gray, her hazel eyes sharp but tired, carrying the weight of years spent chasing stories, her own and others. The shop smelled of old books and cedar, its shelves packed with novels, poetry, and local zines, a haven for Portland's literary crowd. But today, August 6th, 2025, the ledger on the counter told a grim truth. Unpaid bills, a looming bank deadline, and a rent increase threatening to shutter the only thing keeping Lila whole. She flipped the sign to open, the bell above the door jingling, and adjusted a display of local authors, their covers bright against the shop's moody green walls. *Pages Pine* was her heart, built from the ashes of 3 marriages and a childhood marked by absence. But it was failing. The city's rising costs outpacing her sales despite Portland's love for indie bookstores. She'd poured everything into this place, her savings, her nights, her dreams. But the numbers didn't lie, and Lila was running out of time. A customer entered, an older woman with a knit scarf, her eyes scanning the shelves. "Looking for something by Claire Everett," she said, her voice casual but sharp, like she knew the name would sting. "Heard she was a Portland artist back in the day. You carry her work?" Lila froze, her hand on a stack of books, the name a knife twisting in her chest. Claire Everett, her mother, the woman who hadn't shown up to her high school graduation in 2005, the woman who'd left when Lila was 16, chasing her art and leaving a hole Lila had never filled. "No," Lila said, her voice tight. "We don't carry her stuff. She's not around anymore." The woman nodded, sensing the tension, and moved to the poetry section. Lila turned away, her breath uneven, and pulled a box from under the counter, one she hadn't touched in years. Inside were Claire's journals, found in the bookstore's attic when Lila bought the place, their pages yellowed, filled with sketches and words she'd avoided reading. She'd kept them hidden, a secret even from Maya, her 18-year-old daughter, who lived with her father in Seattle and barely spoke to Lila. The journals were a Pandora's box, each one a glimpse into Claire's mind, her art, her dreams, her reasons for leaving. Lila hadn't opened them since she was 20, when the pain was too raw, but the customer's words stirred something. She flipped to a page, Claire's handwriting sharp and slanted. "I wanted to be there, Lila, but the world was too heavy." The words hit like a confession, raw and shattering, like the car scene in the example story, and Lila's eyes burned. She'd waited in her cap and gown at 18, scanning the crowd for Claire, finding only an empty seat, her father's hand on her shoulder, no substitute for the mother who'd promised to come. The bell jingled again, pulling her back. Sam, a local writer in his early 40s, stepped in, his flannel damp from the rain, his dark eyes warm. He'd been a regular at *Pages Pine*, his novels stacked near the register, his quiet humor a balm on Lila's rough days. "Got any new mysteries?" he asked, shaking rain from his hair. "Or are you still fighting that ledger?" Lila forced a smile, tucking the journal away. "Both. Ledger's winning, though. Bank's breathing down my neck." Sam leaned on the counter, his gaze steady. "You'll figure it out. This place is Portland's soul. People won't let it go." His words were kind, but Lila felt the weight of her failures. 3 husbands, a distant daughter, a mother who'd vanished. "Hope so," she said, her voice soft. "But I'm not great at keeping things together." He didn't push, just nodded, his silence an invitation. Lila wanted to tell him about Claire, about the empty seat, but the words stuck. Instead, she handed him a new thriller, their fingers brushing, a spark she wasn't ready to name. As he left, her phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Asterisk, coming to Portland tomorrow? Can we talk? Lila's heart leapt, fear and hope tangling. Maya, her daughter, her mirror, was coming back, and Lila wasn't sure if she was ready to face her, or the journals that might explain why Claire never came. The first vow. Nathan. Lila stood behind the counter at Asterisk Pages Pine Asterisk, the rain a steady hum outside, her fingers tracing the spine of a novel as she waited for Maya's train. It was August 7th, 2025, and the thought of her daughter's arrival stirred memories of her first husband, Nathan, the boy who'd promised her the world when she was 22, only to break her heart before she could learn its shape. The journals sat under the counter, Claire's words a quiet pulse, but it was Nathan's face, his crooked smile, his reckless promises, that filled her mind now, a wound as raw as her mother's absence. It was 2009, and Lila was 22, fresh out of college in Chicago, her degree in literature a fragile shield against the pain of Claire's departure. She'd moved to Seattle, chasing a new start, working at a used bookstore near Pike Place Market. Nathan Cole was 24, a barista with dreams of being a musician, his dark hair falling into blue eyes that sparkled with charm. They'd met when he spilled coffee on her favorite book, laughing as he offered to buy her a new one. Their dates were electric, late-night walks by the waterfront, Nathan strumming his guitar, Lila reading poetry aloud, their love a wildfire she thought would burn forever. They married 6 months later in a small Seattle park. Lila in a thrift store dress, Nathan slipping a cheap silver ring on her finger. She was pregnant with Maya, her heart full, believing Nathan could fill the hole Claire had left. They rented a tiny apartment, its walls covered with Lila's books and Nathan's song lyrics, their nights filled with dreams of a life where she'd write and he'd sing. But Nathan's dreams were bigger than his promises, and the cracks showed fast. He started staying out late, playing gigs that never paid, coming home with whiskey on his breath and excuses on his lips. Lila, juggling a newborn Maya and her bookstore job, begged him to stay home, to be a father, but Nathan's eyes were always elsewhere. She found the text messages 6 months after Maya's birth, flirty, intimate, from a singer he'd met at a bar. Lila confronted him in their cramped kitchen, Maya crying in the next room, her voice shaking with rage and grief. "It was nothing," Nathan said, his hands raised, his charm crumbling. "You're my wife, Lila, I love you." The words were hollow, echoing Claire's empty promises. Lila left the next morning, Maya in her arms, the silver ring on the counter. The divorce was quick, a quiet unraveling, but the wound lingered, a twin to the empty seat at her graduation. She'd moved back to Portland, Maya in tow, vowing to be the mother Claire never was, but the fear of failing her daughter haunted her, a shadow she couldn't shake. Now, at 38, Lila shelved a book, her hands trembling as she thought of Maya's arrival. She'd barely seen her daughter since Nathan took custody at 16. Maya's anger at Lila's long hours mirroring Lila's own resentment toward Claire. The journals under the counter felt heavier now. Claire's words a clue to why she'd left, why she'd missed the graduation. Lila opened one, her fingers hesitant, and read, "Asterisk, I loved you, Lila, but I was drowning. I thought leaving would set us both free." The confession hit like a wave, raw and shattering, like the car scene in the example story, and Lila's eyes burned. She'd spent years hating Claire, but the words hinted at a truth she wasn't ready to face. The bell jingled, and Maya stepped in, 18 and taller than Lila remembered, her dark hair in a braid, her eyes a mirror of Lila's, hazel, guarded, searching. She carried a backpack, her posture tense, and Lila's heart ached at the distance between them. "Hey," Maya said, her voice soft but sharp. "I'm here." Lila forced a smile, her throat tight. "Good to see you, Maya. Want some coffee? There's a great place around the corner." Maya nodded, her gaze flicking to the journals. "Those yours?" she asked, her tone curious but wary. "They're your grandmother's," Lila said, the word asterisk grandmother asterisk foreign on her tongue. "Claire, I found them here. I haven't read much, but maybe we could together." Maya's eyes softened, just a fraction, and she nodded. They walked to a cafe on Burnside, the rain a soft curtain around them, Portland's streets alive with bikes and umbrellas. Over coffee, Maya spoke of Seattle, her art classes, her anger at Nathan's neglect. Lila listened, her heart breaking for the years lost, and shared a piece of her own story, Nathan's betrayal, the way it echoed Claire's absence. "I didn't want to leave you," Lila said, her voice trembling, raw like the journals. "I thought working, keeping this place, would make things better. I was wrong." Maya looked at her, her eyes damp. "I just wanted you there, Mum. Like, at my recitals, my birthdays." The words were a knife, mirroring Lila's pain at Claire's empty seat. She reached for Maya's hand, a tentative bridge, and felt a spark of hope. As they left the cafe, the journals in Lila's bag, Portland's rain washing the city clean, Lila knew this was a beginning, not just for her and Maya, but for understanding the mother who'd never come and the woman Lila was becoming.